South Africans called General Mkhwananzi to arrest a woman who attacked and called an officer Kwerekwere. Right, this story. Maybe can tell you remember this story we have been talking about the issues of xenophobia, Dudula, and so on and so forth. And we were saying many times, we were saying that if South Africa would allow this thing to go on and on, they are actually breeding, they are creating a breeding ground for attacks of one person by the other, which might end up leading to them now turning against each other. I was saying that the other time, after they finished with attacking the foreign nationals, they will start attacking each other now according to their own tribal differences, because it will be now a norm that you don't tolerate somebody who speaks a language you don't understand, or someone who comes from the place where you don't also come from. And we say this over and over, but it seems like the stance really against this xenophobia in South Africa is not really being taken that seriously, especially in places like Johannesburg and KZN, Durban areas, something like that, which is quite regrettable, because at the end of the day, you give a leeway to offenders or to lawless people, and they get used to it until at one point they are now just pouncing on literally everyone. We said this many times, and now look at what is happening now. A South African Zulu woman attacks a police officer, calling that guy a Kwerekwere, just because the guy cannot speak Zulu. The guy, I understand, comes from Limpopo, and he's a vendor. And this, he is actually a boss. He's a police spokesperson. He's not an ordinary person, you see? And he can't speak Zulu. Then that woman attacks that police officer just because of a language difference. And this is the woman. This is the woman. So we have seen many calls on social media where South Africans are calling General Mkhwananzi, remember, he's the one who is the boss for KZN province, to arrest this woman. So we don't know whether this woman is going to be arrested eventually or not. But this must serve as a lesson of what we have always been saying, that South Africa must not celebrate when they see foreign nationals being attacked and so on and so forth. Because at the end of the day, you might think that foreigners deserve it. Let them be attacked, not knowing that tomorrow this thing is going to turn around again and start biting your own kith and kin. And by that time, it will be uncontrollable. I'm sure people have seen the video. This is what transpired.
Angisizakala ngithi kuphele 4 hours wena ucabanga ukuthi aphathelile yokuphenela ubani lo mayeza okuye novulele case la ayisuka anifuna namuntu onengqondo wazi ukuthi ukhuluma ngani hamba ngakini yosebenza ngakini sikhuluma isizulu hawu phela ikhitha soyidila namakorekore kwawona esikwarezela awuqala amakorekore abantu abaphansi isizulu sithi umuthi kwele ngingakuzwa uyangikwerezela hayi ukuthi sithi kwerekwere ungaphansi uyikwerekwere kwawona esuka.
Just imagine, if you look at the stars there, you can tell that that officer has got quite a rank in the police service, but is being treated that way, by that lady. So this is exactly what we have always been talking about. That you don't allow lawlessness because it's happening to somebody, maybe that you don't care about, because you never know. Lawlessness eventually goes out of hand. It eventually takes a twist and then end up biting you at the end of the day. So Julius Malema, the only politician that I've known in South Africa who openly condemns this issue of xenophobia and the hate for foreigners. He has spoken about this in the past, warning South Africans, against this practice. And I just want us to listen to what Julius Malema said the other time concerning this very issue. And
someone says on Twitter, no, leave this thing. We want you to be president. This thing is going to cause votes. I'm like, you can go with those things for president. I must be a president of thugs, of criminals who beat up people. When you are done with Nigerians, when you are done with Mozambicans and Zimbabweans and Zambians, You are going to go for Shangans from Guyana. I have to stop you now before you come to me. Now some of us can't even talk your language. They are going to ask us to make certain pronouncements in their language, and we can't pronounce Wow. Back to Limpopo. We are going to be victims. Celebrate and be happy. And say the nonsense you are saying about foreigners and Nigerians. Go on. When they are done, they are coming for you. They are going to say, no, the reason we don't have jobs here is because of these Zulus. They must go back to Natal. We don't have jobs here. Is this Xhosas? They must go back to Eastern Cape. We don't have jobs here. It is this PDC here. It is these vendors. Back. Because there will be no foreigner to fight.
Right. You see, you know, one thing that I like about Julius Malema is that the man is so prophetic. He is very, very prophetic. Most of the things that Malema is always said and warned in South Africa, they came to pass. They came to pass. You know, I could give many, many examples, and even people that really follow Malema, they can agree with me that the man has always been, you know, like a prophet. He talks about things, you know, in advance, and you'd find people later on saying that Malema said this, Malema once said this, and that's true. Now look at what is now happening. The people from Limpopo now are being attacked just because they can't speak Zulu. See? So what happens if a Zulu is in Limpopo, he has to be attacked in Limpopo because he can't speak Shangaan, he can't speak Venda, he can't speak Pedi or whatever. That's not right. That's not right. You see, and you know, as for Africa, it's painful because you find that all these borders and these divisions that we are seeing, you know, were done by Europe, by the white people. Why Europeans are the ones who came and said we are cutting here by the Limpopo. Those that are across there, they are now Rhodesia, and this one is now again another different country. You see, it happened also in Botswana there. If you look at Botswana, there's a place there, border with Zimbabwe. They cut the Kalanga people. The border cut Kalanga people. It left Kalanga people, one group on the Zimbabwe side, and another group remained on the Botswana side. And they were relatives. So an aunt has been cut off by the border, and the aunt is now living in Zimbabwe. The brother is now living in Botswana because someone came, a white man for that matter, came and cut and said, this is now a different country altogether, and so on and so forth. It happened everywhere. Look at what is happening with Lesotho and in South Africa. Look at what happened again with the South Africa and Swaziland. Same things, you see? Right. So that's why you find that with Swaziland and Lesotho, I mean with South Africa and Lesotho, people just cross and go and buy in South Africa and go back into Lesotho, walking across. Yeah. So such things are just like that. Even Zambia and Zimbabwe, same thing. I remember the other day, Joseph Kalimbwe was showing us a homestead, where the border cuts in between the homestead and some houses are on the other side. What country was he talking about, by the way, which is a border with Mozambique? I mean, with Zambia. I don't remember whether it was DRC or what. But he was saying that, you see, this home, the kitchen is in Zambia, the bedroom is in the other country that they share a border with. Just imagine. Very, very funny. But this is exactly the reality of life. So otherwise, you know, until our people are educated, that we need to understand that, you know, we are just one people that have been separated by people that came from very far, right? You see, today, the Zulu people cannot accept that Ndebele people are part and parcel of them. They don't accept. And yet, Mzligazi left the Zululand and went there with his other chiefs, and Lobengula settled into Zimbabwe. You see, and they kept on, reproducing. And now we have developed speaking people. And a Zulu guy cannot accept that they share the same blood with Ndebele. Just because this guy is from the other side of Limpopo. Who created that barrier? It was a white man. You see what the problem that we have as Africans. If you look at other countries, they are not like that. Go and check European countries. European countries are divided by a white line. By a white line. That the moment you just cross the white line, you are already in another country. White line that crosses by the third road there. And just that, nobody else stops you. You'll be driving your car 120 kilometers an hour. You are crossing from Netherlands into the next country without even stopping. You see? So that's, but when it comes to us Africans, the very same people that demarcated us in their own countries, they allow you to just cross the line. Nobody asks you why you have crossed the line. But look at us in Africa. It's a war. Just because somebody has crossed from this point to the other, it's a war. You see, we hate each other. We hate our blackness. I don't know. That's what we call self-hate. Because those that created borders, where they come from, their borders are just white lines. And if somebody crosses the white line, nobody cares. Right? You can just drive your car past that white line. Nobody stops you for a passport, for what? But look at what we do to each other here. You know, Africa has failed. Southern Africa particularly. If you look at other countries, I used to have a friend from Kenya and another friend from Uganda. And which other country was it? They were telling me that, do you know that we simply cross, you know, we cross, people, Ugandans can cross into Kenya and go and sell their vegetables and cross back and something like that, you see. But in Southern Africa, we have a problem. We are making it even very difficult. We are failing even just to make a passport for Southern Africa. We are failing to come up with even a language that can unite Southern Africa. They have Swahili up there. And Swahili is becoming very common up there around those countries. You can find Swahili being spoken there, So they can communicate, they have a common language. But I don't think the way we hate each other in Southern Africa, we can be able to come up with a common language that we can say, okay, let's use this language, and then we have it for everyone. Some of the things that our leaders are supposed to be talking about, having a SADC passport, right? Let's have a SADC passport. If they did it with the driver's license, why can't they do it with passports? Because with driver's license, they made agreements. SADC countries made an agreement that every driver's license is allowed to drive around Southern African countries. Nobody's troubling you now if you have a Zimbabwean passport driving in Botswana. If you look at Botswana passport, Zambian passport, it has the SADC logo there, right? You see? So if they could do that with driver's license, why can't we do it with passports? You have just one a Southern African passport and people can move around. But we hate each other, right? We hate each other. When somebody has a problem, then they become an enemy. When South Africa was under oppression, South Africa suffering under apartheid, what did we do? All other frontline states, they were fighting, they were standing and supporting, fighting. We used to sing songs for Hazania. When we were at school, we used to sing songs and we used to chant poems and for the freedom of Hazania. But then now Hazania is free. They don't want to see all those that were fighting in their corner, well, because you are suffering. But when they used to suffer, and we had South Africans learning in Zimbabwe, most educated South Africans, if you check them, of a mature generation now, our generation, they learned in Zimbabwe, most of them in colleges, universities, and so on and so forth in Zimbabwe, when things were still fine. You see, all those things. But I think the problem is the leaders. Leaders don't want to tell their people the truth about exactly how we have correlated in the past. They don't want, they look to the side when these things are happening. Instead of explaining that, you know what, when we were fighting this war against the apartheid, we were housed in Zimbabwe, we were housed in Zambia, we were housed in Mozambique, we were even given, like the Thabo Mbekis and the others, they were even given IDs for Zimbabwe. You see? And all such things. The Oliver Tambos were there in Zambia. There's still a house for Oliver Tambo in Zambia, right now as we speak. So all these things are things that our leaders don't want to educate. This is what's supposed to be in the history books and teach the young people to understand how these countries have been helping each other, doing things together. So that young people grow up with appreciating, the other nationalities and other people. Right now, things are going to change. Let me tell you, I'm saying this as a man of God. Let me tell you, things are going to change. South Africa is going down. South Africa is going down. And other countries that have been suffering like Zimbabwe will rise. And people will move from South Africa going to countries like Zimbabwe. When you say it today, it might sound very foolish. A South African may laugh at you today when I say what I'm saying today. But time will come. Time will come where this is going to happen. And we are going to see an exodus of South Africans crossing the Limpopo into Zimbabwe to go and look for greener pastures. That time is coming. So don't hit your brother when he's down. Yes, I'm not refusing that some foreigners commit crimes and what, but crimes are committed everywhere. The jails in South Africa are not all having foreigners. You might realize that maybe foreigners are maybe 5% of the population in the jails in South Africa. So we shouldn't really be hyping up things. So this is the spirit that is causing such kind of fights and divisions. And at the end of the day, it's not helping out. So I don't know. Zimba in Malawi and Zambia are divided by the road markings. Half the road is in Malawi and half the road is in Zambia. You see what we are talking about. Yeah. Thank you so much, Brian, for that one. Zimbabwe and Mozambique, there's Mandea on both sides, Manica province on both sides. Right. Can you see what we are talking about? So that's exactly the same thing. And what goes around comes around. You dig a hole for someone else, you shall fall into it yourself. Yes. At the end of the day. Koma events, chavakadya munyika chomera, chavakadyara munyika chomera. Yes, those are critical. Saka those are some of the things that people need to be looking into and accepting kuti no. At times when we think kuti zviri kukuvadza umwe munhu zvinopedzera zvakuvadza iwewe at the end of the day. So anyway, let's keep praying against that spirit. That xenophobia is a spirit. And each time that I pray myself, I pray against it. For the purposes of saving lives of innocent nationalities of other, that are also living in that country. Otherwise, well, this is what it is. Let's keep praying and believe in God for peace and unity, even in Southern Africa. God bless you. Till we meet again.